Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to everybody. It's wonderful to see you here the day after New Year's Eve in New Orleans. That tells me a lot about you. So, love to be here. The first unity principle tells us that there is only one presence and one power in this universe, and that is God the Omnipotent. We here in unity honor the many names of and the many paths to God. Will you please stand for our invocation? Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. We are now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. We acknowledge thy presence and thy power, O blessed Spirit. In thy divine wisdom, now erase our mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation our world according to thy perfect law. And our Lord's Prayer, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Would you please turn in your hymnal to page 222. 222. For 2023 to be your very best year of your entire life. Raise your hand if you would like that. Wonderful. All right. Positive attitude. There is a way. There is absolutely a way. Just practice the 5 unity principles, which represented the wisdom of the ages. Or truth, the truth that's found in all religions, if rightly understood, and you will be able to manifest your very best year ever. They all promise that. All spiritual paths do. And that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? How do you do that? Our lives can be joyful and peaceful and totally fulfilled. Absolutely. We can be the self-actualized individuals that we were meant to be, without the stress, without the chaos that seemed to be normal for most people out there. And that peace, joy, and fulfillment is not dependent on the outer world and the outer circumstances at all. So today I'd like to offer you a challenge. Are you up for a challenge?
Yes.
Wonderful. The challenge of evolving into the highest level of human being possible on the evolutionary scale. By simply living these 5 unity principles, there's just 5. You will be able to do that. In fact, this is the normal way to live. This is the way we all ought to be living all the time. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore talked about that constantly. This is our birthright. This is the way we ought to be living and can live. So today I would offer you the challenge of really concentrating on that today and starting off as of today after the burning bowl ceremony with that one prospect in mind. Simply living the 5 unity principles. All spiritual schools have told us that it's possible. And now, interestingly enough, there is a critical mass of people on planet Earth who are living this way now, who are evolving into the beings that we were meant to be. We are privileged at this particular time and place in history to have so many of our basic needs met that we are able now to go on even higher on the evolutionary scale, the evolutionary ladder, if you will, and morph into what we can be and what we were meant to be. What the famous psychologist Abraham Maslow called self-actualized, and then later transcendent, he said, individuals. A critical mass of us is no longer forced to live our lives doing what necessity dictates just to survive and just to eat. We have time to contemplate on higher levels of reality, for one thing. And because of mass education and books and the internet and everything that we have at our disposal, we have access to the wisdom of the ages. And particularly here at Unity, we have inherited this wisdom. Not everyone is capable of understanding this wisdom. I understand that. That's okay. But there is a critical mass of people, and I think that out here I'm looking at a lot of them, a critical mass of people do understand and are now evolving into what has sometimes even been termed superhuman. But it's really just what we're supposed to be. This is our natural state. It's kind of like a caterpillar. You notice I've got the butterfly up here. I don't know if you can see it down there. That's sort of the theme of the day, which you'll see in a minute. But it's kind of like the butterfly telling his buddies how a critical mass of us seem to be turning into these larva-looking things and then coming out of them after a while and flying away as butterflies and acting like that's something so unusual. But the reality is that that's the natural state of things. It's the caterpillar becoming the larva and then breaking into the beautiful butterfly. That's the evolutionary scale I'm talking about. We have been subjected for thousands of years to crawling around like caterpillars on planet Earth on just one level of reality, the physical level. I like to think we've been in a larva stage since the Enlightenment. And now many of us are ready to emerge and fly away as all that we were meant to be as human beings. The caterpillar stage was like when we humans spent most of our lives just figuring out how to escape from saber-toothed tigers or dinosaurs, toiling away 12 hours a day in sweatshops or working for some slave owner or colonizer like the English and French are so famous for colonizing most of the world. A significant number of humans now have gone beyond working from morning until night just to grow enough food for their families to survive. We can even retire at 65. Bottom line, many people have recently had the opportunity to think about more lofty matters than just physical or emotional survival. This is a step forward in the possibility of man's possible evolution. Self-actualization and transcendence may sound like too lofty a goal or challenge. I get that. I don't think so much to you all, but honestly, if we live by these 5 unity principles, we can evolve into that highest stage of human potential and evolution. We can fly away like the butterfly from the restrictions of strictly material matters. I don't think it's too much to ask to have peace and joy and fulfillment in life. That is normal. Anything less than that is, I think, self-imposed slavery. If we live by the unity principles, they will help us create heaven on earth, which is what every spiritual school has talked about. Jesus the Christ said that it was possible over 2,000 years ago. He didn't say that it was possible for everyone, because everyone couldn't understand. They weren't ready yet. 2 reasons. One, due to their lack of inner development. They couldn't help that. They couldn't help where they were born and how they were programmed. And secondly, due to a lack of general education at that time and ability to think abstractly. That's why Jesus spoke in parables. But he did say for those who could hear and were ready to hear, these things that I do, ye shall do also, and greater. And we believe at Unity that everyone has this right. And I hope that everyone will eventually get there in the whole world. And I believe they will. I think that those who are ready and capable now need to evolve, and then we need to help those people who don't yet understand. We need to be a light unto the world. Like last week, you lighted your candle and put it in the salt of the earth, are the people who do that. And we really do need to help those closest to us, and our families, our neighbors, our work environment. People depend on us. So let's talk more about these unity principles as a way to evolve. The first unity principle says there is only one power and one presence in the whole universe, God the omnipotent. There is nothing else. This is right understanding. Before we do anything, we must understand. And that is the fact. This means that there is no duality in the world. There's no Satan and God. There is no heaven and hell vying for your soul. There's no good and evil for us to choose from. Satan and hell and evil are all human constructs. They describe an absence of good in our thinking and our consciousness, negative thinking, if you will. A temporary lapse in our right understanding. Our negative thinking does project its negativity onto the world, that is true, but that doesn't mean that it is there in an absolute sense. St. Patrick said it perfectly, and I quote, God is with me, God is before me, God is within me, God is behind me, God is beneath me, God is above me, God is to my right, God is to my left. There is only one power and presence in the universe. In Star Wars, this God power that is everywhere is called, what's it called in Star Wars? Come on. The Force, all right. And at 9:30 a.m. Sunday School City Yoga class, this God power is referred to as Shakti energy. the underlying force of the universe. There are various translations in various languages and cultures, but they're all talking about the same thing. It's this underlying primal substance power of the universe that makes it work. We call that God, unity. And as such, God is as much physics, a physics concept, as it is a religious or spiritual concept. It is just what is. It is the all of the universe. The first unity principle is one of the unique parts of unity. And all New Thought spiritual schools like Unity, Divine Science, Christian Science, and Science of Knowledge. Traditional fundamental religions tend to think of God as some separate being out there somewhere, like the bearded white man sitting on some cloud somewhere, to whom we pray, like to a Santa Claus. Give me, give me, give me. Give me that new red sports car, that raise, that relationship that I want to enhance my egoic life, etc. Unity doesn't think that God is some anthropomorphic figure out there, separate from us. We believe that God is everywhere present, powerful, the connecting glue of the entire universe, the oneness of all life. We don't pray to God as much as we get quiet and realize our oneness with God, with that force, that omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence of the universe. Thus, prayer is more like putting up our antenna and accessing all the answers from this all-pervading omniscience and bringing it to us. By becoming one with it, we have access to everything. For just a moment now, so that maybe you can remember a little bit more during the week, close your physical eyes and feel your oneness with that power, that one power and presence of the universe. Feel your oneness. Amen. The second unity principle says that everyone has the spark of the divine within. You are divine. The divine isn't out there for you to try to get to. It's within you. Some people might not know it, that's true. Others might not be receptive to it. Many people might not be living out this divinity within in certain situations, but that is who we all are. That is who you are. You are divine. And there is no way that we don't have that divinity in us, because if that's the only force of the whole universe, if there's only one presence and power, of course you are part of that. So let's practice living the second unity principle, recognizing the divine in us and in all others. As they do all over the East, I'd like you to put your hands together and to someone sitting near you, look at them and say, Namaste, I salute the God within you. Namaste, I salute the God within you. Namaste, namaste. All right, this time, a second time, I'd like you to, for someone that you didn't say that to before you say namaste, which means I salute the God within you, I'd like you to look them in the eye for 5 to 10 seconds and really see that divinity within them. Give me a second person. Namaste. 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 This week, whenever you encounter someone, look them in the eye for a few seconds and recognize that divinity within them. And think to yourself, Namaste. I surrender to God within me. This is a way to keep practicing the second unity principle of recognizing the divinity in everyone, no matter what they seem to be manifesting at that particular time. And remember to honor the divine within yourself when you look in the mirror in the morning. Say namaste to yourself. Think, I salute the God within you. You are divine. The third unity principle says that our thinking creates our entire world. That's why it's so important to get quiet regularly in meditation and prayer and observe your thoughts and see how exactly we are creating our world. If there are people or situations that we're having trouble with, let that be feedback so that you can see what you need to work on so that you will not have to endure that kind of chaos and stress in your life. It's always about how we interpret situations and people. It's never about what's going on out there. And this doesn't mean that we don't correct injustices. We don't just stay like little Pollyannas, oh, everything's just perfect. That's not what it means. This is on another level. Ignorance on the part of others, though, is not evil. We must remember that. And sometimes things look pretty bad out there, and we need a lot of help and guidance on how to see those things and those people differently. If we get really quiet and see the divine within, although often we're better able to correct those injustices because we're not all stressed out and upset. So sometimes we definitely need to turn to prayer when we are so overwhelmed by what others in the world seems like out there that we just can't figure out how to see it differently. Just pray. Dear God, help me see things differently. And that brings us to the fourth unity principle, the importance of prayer. It is good sometimes for our humility to have to ask for prayer, for guidance in prayer. I frequently have to pray to remember my spiritual goals and to see things differently. Because if I don't pray, I go off and start on automatic, how I was programmed. And I see things that way. Most of the time, my ego is out there solving problems and living my life. And it doesn't do a very good job. Maybe yours does a better job. My ego just doesn't. We need to let go and let God. And prayer is the path to that. So what is prayer? Well, as we said earlier, prayer is not about manipulating God or treating God like some Santa Claus, right? True prayer is, as Evan says in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, prayer is about becoming willing to let God change you. Prayer is about being willing to let God change you. Actually, if you can switch over to the mind of Christ and see with your Christ vision, which is in you, your prayers have already been answered. Your Christ mind understands and sees the ever-pervading good in everything when you see with your Christ vision. Correct prayer is about getting the who right. Who's doing the praying? Your ego or your Christ self? Is your ego just asking for stuff, or is your real self working on realizing your oneness with God? So for just a moment now, let's rest in the silence of true prayer and concentrate on your divine presence and oneness with the universe again, and with the true peace that passeth all understanding. Not asking for anything, just resting in the silence again and realizing your oneness with God. Amen. And the fifth principle of unity is that it's not enough to just know these principles. We must live them in our daily lives for them to work, to really understand them. And that's why you come here on Sunday mornings and to classes. It's why you pray and meditate and read spiritual teachings, to remind yourself of these truths. Call them the five principles if you want. It's the same thing. The truths are all within them. You come here to be with your spiritual family, your Sangha, so that you can be influenced positively by other people and not constantly negatively out there in the world. Whenever 2 or 3 are gathered together, there I am. Jesus always sent out 2 disciples to do his work. He knew that any time there are 2 people walking down the same path together, there's also a third mind, the mind of God. The mastermind that comes in and works in our lives to guide us, to empower us. Bottom line, living the Unity 5 principles is a way to transform your ordinary life of seeming stress and chaos and often victim consciousness that we've all been programmed to have into one of joy and peace and fulfillment and love. So in closing, remember, there's only one God in the universe. 2, the divinity is within you. 3, you create your world with your thinking. 4, the importance of prayer. And 5, don't just study these and know them, live them in your daily life. And be patient with yourself. There will be tests and challenges, but these will all help you grow, particularly if you turn to God in prayer at those times and ask for guidance. If you keep living these principles, you too can evolve into the highest level of humanity possible. The one described by Maslow as self-actualized and then transcendent, which means one with the all. One who rises above the seeming stresses and chaos of the world. In fact, in this state, you really will be able to do more about what is out there. Just like the caterpillar who crawls along the earth and then becomes the soaring butterfly, as that picture right there, down there, as it transforms from its larva existence, you too can transform and learn to fly, meaning as a new kind of being capable of manifesting all your human possibilities, all of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore talked about. Think about it. The soaring butterfly began as a small little egg. Then out of the egg, it became that wiggly little furry thing with lots of legs. And then it made its chrysalis around itself. And from that chrysalis, a winged creature flew away. Great beauty. And that is you in 2023. Transform from your earthly existence as merely potential into your highest possible state of evolution as a human being. Your true self, your destiny. May you, like the butterfly, soar in 2023. And to help you remember your goal, I'd like you to participate today in a walking meditation. I'd like you to walk down here in front, quietly and reverently, with no eye contact with me or anyone, and take a butterfly. I didn't really make them, my assistant made them today back there. These beautiful butterflies. And I'd like you to take one and remember as you're doing this that you all lighted these candles last week, which represent the Christ being reborn in you again this year. Christ consciousness being reborn in you. And so today, take a butterfly, and you're going to take that butterfly home, put it up somewhere on your mirror or somewhere. Let that butterfly be a symbol of the fact that you have shed your old self today. It served you well to get you to this point, that's fine, but it must now be discarded in order for you to transform into your butterfly state. So please remain quiet. This is a walking meditation. Just slowly come down, get one butterfly, and go back to your seat. And while you're in this meditative state, you will have the opportunity to think about what you want to really let go of from 2022. And then on the way out today, you're going to, if you don't have a paper and pencil, you're going to pick up a piece of paper at the end and a pencil if you don't have one, and write down what you would like to release in 2022, and you're invited to burn that at the burning bowl ceremony in the front of the church. May these two acts be the first steps to your creating the best year you've ever had. So I invite you, the people on the first row, to come up very quietly and just get in line in the aisles and take a butterfly. So you will all fly, soar away as the butterfly that you were meant to be. May this be the best year we've had so far. May we bless our offering. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit, it is so. Amen. This Saturday, on the 7th of January, don't forget, write it in your new calendar, from 1:30 to 3:30 in the family room. There will be a special class offered, Soul Mastery, offered by Dr. Tony Bain, who is an ordained minister, and she's from Community Village. She's in charge of us. She's really our minister. She's in charge of all of the unity churches in the central United States, and she is a dynamo, a very dear friend. You will love Tony Bain. So take advantage of this opportunity. It's not often that someone from Unity Village comes down and does that, spends the weekend with us. 1:30 to 3:30 this Saturday, no charge, Soul Mastery. She'll also be talking at the 11 o'clock Sunday service. And I'd like to share with you my New Year's resolution. I'm, as of the end of April, going to take my place again in the pews with you. I am retiring, and I'm looking forward to being in the pews with you all again. It has been an honor, a great honor, and I'm grateful to have been with you almost 10 years here. I was just sort of filling in, and we all had to fill in. We lost our two ministers that founded this church, and her daughter who ran it. The two of them are here for some 60 years. And so I've been filling in for almost 10 years. And as your spiritual leader, I really think now it is time for you all to have a full-time minister who is here all day, every day during the week, and has time to go out into the community and bring in members. It's the future of unity to expand our church. I don't know why all these chairs aren't just filled, and they should be. But I, with a full-time job as a high school teacher, have not had time to do all that. So I've been doing what all of us have been doing, just sort of holding things together. And I'll still be here. I'll still be sitting yoga class on 9:30 on Sunday mornings, which I love. I'm still going to do my class on Wednesday night. That's our Sangha. I'm going to be around here with you, but someone else, it's time for me to retire. It's been kind of hard to juggle two full-time jobs, I'll tell you. I haven't had a day off in 10 years or vacation. I'm kind of ready for that. But I was here for 25 years before I became minister, and I'll be here hopefully 25 years afterwards. But I look forward to having my place with you in a pew there. And I've got some really good news. Well, one is Tony Bain's going to be here kind of helping us at the board get everything organized. We're going to have a search committee, which you'll hear much more about all of that later. And then you, as the voting members, will choose your next minister. The search committee will go out and check out everyone who applies, and then of those, they will select two and submit them to the board. And the board does, by the bylaws, we do the final decision, but what we really want to know is who we want. But I have some good news along those lines. Our beloved intern, Stephen Fleming, who lives in Houston, and his mom and his life partner, Claudia, who's also a unity minister, his mom, who's a unity minister, and his son all live in Houston. But this is Stephen's home church. He was born and raised here in this church. And Stephen has accepted to put his hat in with the applicants. So right off, we've got a great option. And it'll just go from here. So you'll hear much more about that because you all will choose your next minister. But I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right with you. But I'm looking forward to this. So I just wanted you to know. Will you please stand for our closing? The light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is, and you are safe and secure. The Lord watches between me and thee while we are absent one from the other, and helps us to know that we are all one in spirit through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. And now I invite you to come up in front. We're going to sing the peace song, and then we'll go directly out and burn our 2022 things that need to be burned away. We're burning bolts here.